So she's terrified of the potato. It's
Well,
terrible.
that just goes back to the fact that doctors know nothing about human nutrition. You know, Nathan Pritikin used to tell a joke that a doctor and his secretary knew the same about nutrition unless his secretary happened to be on a diet. Then she knew or he knew more about nutrition. We know nothing about nutrition. The average.
So what does McDougall say about fruit and sugar? Somebody sent me this. I haven't watched it yet. I've watched part of this video, but not up until this point. So I wanted to go ahead and see what it is that he says about fruit and why we should not be eating it.
I have another question. It's a bit long, but I think it's a good one. Aren't we designed to eat?
The reason I'm doing this is because when I eat fruit and raw vegan, let's call it raw vegan. Let's call it what it is. I lose weight pretty good. But when I add starches back in, like, all right, so everybody's like, well, a couple of people are like, you didn't even lose weight last year, brah. And I did technically. I started the year at 292 and I ended the year in the 270s. So I did, but I'm shocked actually at how little I did, because in 2016, I'm not going to show the picture. Everybody's seen it. There's a couple of them, but maybe I'll show another one that nobody's seen yet or in a while. In 2016, I lost a ton of weight doing almost the durianrider protocols, right? Almost. I did add in one Cliff Bar a day. And once in a while, I would have like vegan cookies, but I was losing weight like crazy. I'm on a quest to figure out what the difference is. So anyway,
Both starch and fruit, hence the sugar-seeking taste buds. What do you think about the theory?
the point of that is, as soon as I added in rice, my weight loss stopped. It didn't go up until I had a crazy traumatic last like 4 months of the year. And then my cortisol was just too high. I could not get it under, pouring sugar down my throat. I couldn't get it under control.
Theory that humans are frugivores like other primates. You recommend limiting fruit for weight loss. Can you explain what mechanism fruit hinders weight loss? If carbohydrate, sugar don't cause weight gain, then how can eating fruit cause weight gain?
Eating fruit does not cause weight gain.
So now I'm confused, because I know it doesn't, because when I just do fruit, I mean, it does come off pretty fast, but what do you do for dinner? Like, it gives you a lot of energy, and the sleep was crazy terrible.
The fruit is made of simple sugar. So the rise in blood sugar and insulin is very quick, and the fall is very quick too. It's not sustained like you'd get with starch. With starch,
I don't even think you need insulin to digest fruit, from everything that I've read.
Starch like rice, corn, and potatoes, because the starches have to be digested in the intestinal tract and are slowly absorbed into the bloodstream, affecting the brain over a long period of time, you get long-term satisfaction. So in that way, fruits may be less easy to lose weight with. I wouldn't consider them weight gaining. I would consider a high fruit diet to discourage rapid weight loss. And the reason is
that's just not been the case with me. If I started today, because I haven't had any starches whatsoever, if I started today and went fruitarian, it usually takes 3 days. 3 days to start noticing results. It would fall off like crazy. So what is the difference? Can you actually not combine this stuff? The only difference that I have between now and 2016 is I was working at the post office, so I was walking a lot. And sometimes I was riding there, but I was riding the bike fairly often. I don't want to over exaggerate how much I rode the bike. When I look back at my records, I didn't even know what Strava was back then. It was called Map My Run. That's what I used. And I like how it breaks the segments down too. So I actually don't like Strava all that much, but everybody uses it. It would map segments like every 5 miles. You could see what speed and everything that you were going. And I like that much better than Strava. But I think I was riding like 3 to 4 times a week, I think I was averaging about 100 miles a week. To me, that's not a ton.
Is that you do have rises in blood sugar and insulin levels, and insulin pushes fat into fat cells. The reason is that we can eat so much fruit. Now, people will sit down and eat 20 fruits at a time, and then they'll do.
No. What fruits are we talking about here?
Even worse, they'll eat dried fruit. And that's really concentrated calories. And all that simple sugar makes a difference. Even though the sugar doesn't turn into fat, it spares fat. In other words, the body would rather burn sugar and leaves the fat in your butt, in your thigh, in your abdomen. It spares fat. So in that way, it would encourage weight gain too. So you've got the rapid.
I just don't agree. When I did Starch Solution, not 50-50. When I did the 50-50 plate, that's when I got it to 292. I couldn't handle it. And then I started force feeding myself hummus. I don't agree. I just don't agree. Leave down in the comments section which one you prefer. Now, cheaper wise, Starch Solution's way cheaper.
Rapid rise and fall in hunger drive. And you've got the sparing effect of carbohydrate. So in those two ways.
He is right about the satiation. Fruit does not satiate you at all.
The fact that people love fruit so much and are so familiar with it, if I didn't limit fruit to 2 or 3 a day in general, then what would happen is we'd have people start our program and they would eat 20, 30 fruits at a time. And they're missing the importance of starch when they do that. And that's why I put that qualification in there that you should keep your fruits to 2 or 3 a day. But I want to tell you, Heather, do you remember that nectarine tree? In fact, do you still have
He talks about this all the time, but nectarines don't have no calories, especially if you got a tree in your backyard, probably. But if you don't, I mean, those things are picked like stone. They're called stone fruit. They're not ripe at all.
That nectarine tree. Oh, I'm coming down a nectarine tree. That nectarine tree. And Heather and her family took over our property. And there's this nectarine tree next to our house. And boy, when it come and bloom every year, you had to eat the nectarines within a week. I used to eat a whole bushel basket full. So I didn't follow that particular rule at that time. It never caused me any problems. And
so that's so confusing then. He's got anything himself. He didn't gain weight on it, but he's telling you not to do it.
I don't think fruit's the issue. There was another part of that fruit question.
I think you answered all of it. I mean, I guess just worried about fruit and weight loss.
Those are the reasons why fruit shouldn't be on your top of your list for losing weight rapidly. Mm-hmm. Remember, spares fat, so it's going to stay in the body fat. And, you can eat a lot of it. Calories count.
Then why does he say to eat ad libitum? Why does he say that when it comes to carbohydrates?
Well, there's no starch, right? So it's really not going to fill you up like you need to be filled up.
Not for a long time. Not the kind of satisfaction that you need and are looking for. If you eat a high fruit diet, and there have been very few fruitarians. Steve Jobs was a fruitarian for a short time in his life. But because of the kind of practice I've had, I've collected a lot of people on the fringe of science and nutrition. They've come to see me, they've contacted me, and I've run into a lot of fruitarians over my half a century of doing this. And I was never impressed. I never found people who had a successful diet in terms of their life.
I mean, arguably, when you look at them, a lot of them do fail at some point, but they go too extreme. They will only eat fruit.
Life and their performance and their enjoyment, etc. Starch is crucial. People are starchivores. They're starchitarians. They're starch eaters.
Now, if you ask Doug Graham this, he would say the complete opposite of that. Complete opposite of that.
Get that concept, you're going to be enslaved by misinformation and you'll be making the wrong choices. But if you just take it and do something as simple as say, I'm going to let my mind become fixed on the fact that potatoes are the best food possible, or starch is what I'm supposed to eat.
Pritikin says the same thing. He says you can eat other starches, a couple times a week, but potatoes should be daily.
If you allow yourself just a moment of new thinking, a moment where you decide to yourself, I want to have a better life. Give me one concept that'll give me a better life. Well, if I could give you the concept that.
And when I talked to the Trophy twins, matter of fact, they said that they didn't lose weight on fruit at all, that they didn't lose weight until they did the starch solution. So there is people on both sides of the fence, but why is that? Now, some people are going to say, well, everybody's different. But if that was the case, you wouldn't be able to do transplants. You wouldn't be able to. There would be no medical field whatsoever, because if everybody was different, they would have no way of even standardizing anything.
That you're a starch eater, that would do it. Just one idea that would change your whole.
Now, I don't really buy into the blood thing like I used to. I did for a little while, and I just didn't. I don't buy into it. But if you go back to your roots, like what your ancestry is. I mean, you might be on that country right now, but for those of us in the U.S. who most of our families came here from somewhere else, mine are all from Ireland, minus the few that are from Slovakia. I mean, it's potatoes, basically.
Whole life.
Thank you. Let's see, next question. Dr. Dean Scherzai says white potatoes are not helpful for brain health. So
this is an interesting question too. So I'm gonna run through this one.
Comment.
Oh, I have no comment on that. I don't even know who he is, much less his theory on why white potatoes are bad for health. We're gonna.
When I interviewed Steve Kohler, he said the same thing. I was like, I don't know, man. But he's telling people to eat potatoes that have different colored skin, but the interior is still a white potato.
Talking about white foods in this afternoon. That's one of my discussions about how people think white food is bad for you. And of course, they're thinking about white bread and white sugar. But this is, again, an incorrect concept. And I'm going to go over that with you this afternoon. The idea that white foods,
I'm interested in that. I'm going to try to track that one down, but I'm not going to do it on this video.
You shouldn't choose. Don't choose white. Anyway, I think many of you know what I'm talking about. It's not true, and we'll discuss that this afternoon. More power to this new doctor.
Thank you.
Heather. One of the things.
If you want to see me review that, let me know down below. I'll track it down, or if somebody knows where it is, just send it to me.
That I think you have commented on. I know your brother, who's a medical doctor, has commented on. Is how I have kept the same beliefs for the last half a century, or 44 years anyways. And, like Craig's response was to me one time when he read the McDougall plan, then he read the starch solution. He said, Dad, you said the same thing. I mean, you said it better than the starch solution.
That's definitely his best book. If you have not read McDougall, the starch solution is definitely the one to read. And don't do the 50-50 plate. Don't do it.
But you said,
he even himself said he wishes he didn't read or write Maximum Weight Loss.
The same thing, and other people will come back to me and say, you're not a very progressive doctor. You're not open-minded enough. Because I have not seen you change in 44 years.
Neither has the human body.
Well, there are a lot of doctors out there that are trying to find something new, something unique. God talked to them in their left ear, right ear. I am so special that I figured out that white potatoes are bad for the brain. Excuse me. The reason I haven't changed in 44 years is the truth doesn't change. I had the fortune to figure out things at a very basic level. And
maybe 500,000 years from now, we'll be able to eat taco cheese and whatever, Taco Bell or McDonald's, and that'll be healthy for us. But right now, you're in the body that you're in, and that it just isn't.
I want to tell you, one of the things that I've missed over the years is contesting. Sincere contesting, not stuff that goes on behind my back, but sincere contesting. Show me where I'm wrong. Show me how I got it wrong 44 years ago. I don't think so. And you won't see me.
But he doesn't. The fruitarian thing. I mean, I know he did an interview with Doug Graham. I think that was on Chef AJ's show. I'd be interested to watch that.
Be changing over the next 20 years either. So get used to it. If you're looking for a new gimmick from Dr. McDougall, go someplace else. He's a potato guy.
You're very consistent. Let's see, next question.
And speaking of white food, look at the Asian people. You know, the Asian people eat a lot of white rice, and their health is significantly better than ours. Now that they're adopting the Western diet, it's not the same case, though.
I love potatoes and eat them regularly, but if I eat them daily, my intestinal transit suffers. Is there any toxin in the potato that can affect the digestive system if eaten in higher quantities?
Not that I'm aware of. This is new to me.
Solanine.
So I cannot think of a mechanism. Not that it's not true.
If you are allergic to solanine, then your digestion of potatoes won't be great. Now, if you take the skin off, it should be a lot better. So if you go through that, skin the potatoes, if you still go through it, potatoes probably aren't your thing.
Not that you don't have a reaction that may be specific to you or common to other people. I'm just not aware of it. So
we meet people that don't tolerate potatoes well. So we just say, eat a different starch or eat fewer potatoes. Or
one thing nice about potatoes is they have no gluten. So you gluten warriors out there.
Yeah, gluten-free. But yeah, like I said, if you have an issue with them, try skinning them, especially russets. I don't know what those are called in other countries, but especially russets.
I have to worry about gluten. And potatoes are very high fiber, which will give me a way to introduce the concept of fiber to people for just a minute. Fiber is non-digestible microscopic chains of sugar. Microscopic chains of sugar. Fiber is not like the bristles of a broom. Some people think because they eat a high fiber diet that they scratch their intestines on the way through because of these bristles of the broom. They said
it about the watermelons.
Microscopic. You couldn't even see it under a microscope unless you had an electron microscope. You know, they're very tiny. I think the best way of thinking of this is take a baked potato, cook it, and add it to a quart of water and mix it up. It disappears.
Yep.
You know, these are not going to scratch your intestines. They're not going to be rough on your intestines. They
are much rougher if you don't cook whatever you're eating. Now, I'm not saying to eat not cooked potatoes, but like fruit, for example, it has it much rougher.
Now, I don't know whether this particular question comes from that point of view that, you know, maybe there's something in potatoes that scratch or irritate my intestines. Certainly, it's not the fiber. Fiber is microscopic chains of sugar. Happens to be the same as starch. It's glucoses connected together in chains, but in this circumstance, the connections of the glucoses are not digestible by the enzymes present in the human being. Bacteria can digest those enzymes or those connections, those linkages.
Isn't there bacteria in your gut?
And they do when you eat food. The remnants of the food go into your large intestine where the bacteria will break down these fibers.
There you go.
And give you lots of gas and also give you more energy. I mean, the sugars that are broken down by the bacteria. And
that's weird because Ray Peat said that potatoes, white rice, and a couple others, and fruit are all digested in the small intestine.
Bacteria in your intestine, your large intestine, are important for you. They add to your general nutrition. But that's the only difference. It's just glucose, sugars, basic sugars. In this case, they're attached together by linkages that are not digestible, whereas in starch, which is what we eat in terms of potatoes, et cetera, which we digest, which we get energy from, the linkages are digestible. We have enzymes to digest those linkages.
Thank you.
And there you go. Let's see if there's another question somewhat relevant.
Next question. Some doctors say to avoid consuming too many potatoes because of lectins.
Lectins? Isn't that in soy?
What are your comments on that?
Yeah, I did this whole thing on lectins. It's in one of my newsletters. It's again a silly concept. Lectins are found in plants. They are components of plants that are made as
Isn't that one guy that says that you have like a liter of olive oil a day? I think that's who started spreading that one.
pesticides.
What's that guy's name? I always forget his name. My brain doesn't want to remember it.
The plant to protect itself. And I don't know. It's a doctor out there that's trying to make a name for himself by somehow identifying this.
He's the same one that said that you can't eat tomatoes. Or, I mean, it just the most random things is and then he tells you to finish your day off with a liter of olive oil.
Secret to why you're so fat and why you have such bad health is this mystery that I have discovered. So buy my book. Just eat the potato. Eat the potato. You don't have to buy the book. Just eat the potato.
So I was typing with someone in the chat, and she has a friend whose doctors are telling her not to eat potatoes because they'll make her gain weight. And so she's terrified of the potato. It's terrible.
That just goes back to the fact that doctors know nothing about human nutrition.
100%. I can get the 100%. Man. Anyways, you know what? I think I'm going to leave it there. What do you think? Fruits? Good for you or not? I mean, he kind of contradicts himself in his own video here. I don't know. Up to the viewer, I guess. But in my eyes, the easiest I've ever lost weight is going raw vegan. The problem with that is, as the years have gone on, since I was originally raw vegan, fruit is just not as good as it used to be. And it's harder and harder to find good fruit. So I had to come off of it. Anyways, likes, comments, questions, all that good stuff down below. Subscribe, share the video, and I'll talk to you next time.